Hi, I'm Kim Pope from Sharon Partners, and welcome to our quarterly market update for the second quarter of 2021. Today, as always, I'm joined by our independent investment committee member, Steve Garth. Steve, thanks for joining us. Can you take us through what's been going on in the market in the last quarter and over the last year?
Yeah, sure, Kim. Hello to you and hello to everyone watching. The Australian share market is up by 27.8% for the financial year. And that makes it the biggest financial year gain since 1987. And the market's now at record highs.
Steve, we've been hearing a lot about inflation over the last 3 months. What's going on there?
Yeah, Kim, look, one way to look at this is by looking at what government bond yields have been doing, which is not everyone's cup of tea, I know. But if you look at the chart now, it shows that in the last quarter, in the first quarter of 2021, those bond yields rose suddenly. And that was because there was rising prices around the world. And the question was, would the bond yields continue to go up, or was this inflation transitory? In other words, it was really just because of the pandemic. And what we've seen in the last quarter, and you can see that in the chart, is those bond yields have been coming back down again. And that really means that the bond market have decided that inflation probably is transitory, and that the central banks are probably right, and inflation in the longer term will increase, but only to the levels that they expect it to. So in Australia, that's in a range of about 2 or 3%.
Okay, so what's the story with other markets around the world over the last 12 months then?
Well, of course, in the last 12 months, we've seen effective vaccines, record government support, and a whole lot of pent-up consumer demand. And that's really fueled an historic turnaround for the global economy. And you're seeing that reflected in the share markets around the world. You can see that strong performance of both the Australian market, the global market, and the emerging markets, all returning returns of around 27 to 29%. On the far right, you'll see those REITs, the real estate investment trusts. Now, of course, they got hit hard by the pandemic, but they've also recovered strongly.
Thanks, Steve. Tell us a little bit about what's been driving the different sectors. I'd expect that with people unable to travel, they're spending on TV sets and home renovations, places like Dan Murphy's and BWS. So I'd imagine that, retail is doing quite well.
That is exactly right, Kim. In fact, when you look at this chart of the top 5 sectors in the Australian market, I think most people know that financials are, the largest sector. Well, they've had a phenomenal turnaround. A lot of that's actually driven by housing. As we know, housing prices are going up, and that's good for banks because they lend out money. So they're really beneficiaries of high prices. But to your point, you're absolutely right that the other really high-performing sector is what they call consumer discretionary, and that is things like TV sets and Dan Murphy's and BWS. So you can really see there that spending on discretionary type retail has really had a huge gain in the last financial year. We talked earlier that the ASX 200 is up by 27.8% for the financial year, but the US market's up by 40%, nearly 41% for up until June the 30th for the last 12 months. So they're really going well, and driving that again also is financials. The banks are just doing well around the world as the economy really kicks in.
It certainly seems like since these vaccinations are rolling out, perhaps a little bit slower in Australia than we like, but that the stock markets really are doing quite well. And of course, it's worth recapping that the Sharon Partners philosophy is all about low cost and diversified portfolios, so that we can capture both the returns in the Australian market as well as what's going on in the overseas markets. So thank you, Steve. Great performance over the quarter and over the year for all of our clients. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Terrific. Thanks, Kim. Bye-bye.